You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So happy you could join me here today on our Friday review. Always enjoy being able to do these shows. Love bringing you my favorite research that I've been sifting throughout the week. Love bringing you other interviews that I may have been on, what's been new, what's happening in our practice, of course. And then any product reviews, any book reviews, and of course, our super nutrient of the week. This week is no different. We'll be going through an amazing super nutrient. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, but I know that will bring you benefit, or maybe your clients benefit, your patients benefit, or someone in your life, of course. And then I want to go through, again, this is two very specific pieces of research. This research is really important to me because a lot of the work that I've been doing has honestly been centered around neurological-based health and how that affects hormones and blood sugar. And the reason why I've moved in that direction is simply because the message is not getting out. And people are working a lot of the natural health field on helping people to get well, but a lot of times it's still often treating the symptoms. And what we're looking to do is treat things at a really deep underlying root causal based level. And when you look at the under causal based levels, or those deep levels, it always has to do with the rebalancing of the homeostatic systems within the body. And those homeostatic systems always then control all of the hormones or the electrolyte imbalance, all of those things. Yes, digestion, all of that plays a part, without a doubt. Like, absolutely. But oftentimes, there's a level of connection between the brain and the body, the mind down that brain stem, down the spinal cord, and the innervation of those nerves, and what is telling the organs and glands actually to do. That is the deepest level that we are working at, and that's why we truly integrate all forms of medicine. We believe that every single one of them is valuable, and that's what we're trying to pass on. And of course, we're trying to do that through the Integrative Health Practitioner program, where we're trying to certify really that next generation, the future practitioners who take ego out of medicine, and they say, listen, we're not here to cure, we're not here to diagnose disease. What we're here to do is look at deep underlying root cause levels, whether it's through, again, the hormones, the nervous system, the digestion, all of the different labs that we can run, or just work with people on a lifestyle-based level in order to help them heal, in order to help them get well. So that's what I've been doing. Of course, we have our founding members right now going through the Integrative Health Practitioner certification. We'll be opening back up in about a month or so, just for a day or two. And the reason is we only want to, again, bring on a small group of people just like we did. And this time we want to offer a payment plan to allow more people who otherwise would not be able to join, because, I believe that that's only fair. Listen, I'm learning and growing. That's the truth. And when we were not able to offer that for the initial debut, there are a lot of people who, rightly so, who would love to have gotten in, but they couldn't afford, even though we're 50% of all the other certifications out there. We're half off of those certifications. And even though we're the only clinical-based certification that is taught by a practitioner that's doing it right now in the real world, it's based on a very specific protocol that I use called the de-stress protocol, I still wanted to be able to offer it at a very affordable price. However, I remember being there not too long ago and not able to afford that full price. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer a payment plan that will be coming up. All right, but that's all I'm going to go over for the Integrative Health Practitioner today. If you want more information, the homepage is still up. Just go to integrativehealthpractitioner.org and you can check that out. So much going on. I just want to give you one more tidbit before I get to two interviews that I have to share with you, and then two more pieces of research, is that our shipping really is now in full swing. And I am not even the one to say that. I wait for our community to react. We are now able to get people their products. So this was a stats. 93% of all products shipped from Equilibrium Nutrition got there in 3 days or less in the United States. And in terms of international shipping, we're right around 6 to 7 days. That's pretty remarkable. The 7% of the people we left out of that 93% got their package in 4 days in the United States. So that's pretty remarkable. Most people are getting them in 2 to 3 days, essentially just like Amazon Prime. So we're very happy to be able to offer that. That's a service that I've been working with my team on for a year, really, to try to improve. We work with now the number one shipper. The number one, they're not even a ship, they're a logistics company. They literally have the best way to get things in and out of DHL, post offices, FedEx, you name it. They work with whatever the best carriers are to get it to you. And international, we're now slated to be 8 to 10 days to Australia, but people are getting them sometimes in just a week, in 4 to 5 days. Now, I can't promise that for everyone, of course, because even though we get it to Australia in like 3 or 4 days, it can be held with customs or whatever you want to call it for a couple more days, and that's honestly just out of our control. We have nothing to do. Once it arrives in Australia, it has to be released. So these are all ways that we're just trying to improve. You know, I formulate for Equilibrium Nutrition. I love being able to create products that aren't currently available in the natural health-based field. But I also want to make sure that you get the very best customer service, and that includes shipping as well. So hopefully you're enjoying much better shipping times, and just make sure you take advantage of your free gluten and dairy support enzyme. It's an amazing enzyme that you can use with a cheat meal, flex meal, whatever you'd like to call it. And I don't talk about the benefits as much of this, but it works remarkably well for higher fructan-based foods such as beans or legumes if you do have a tendency to get gas with those. Really remarkable product. It will help with the overall inflammatory effect. It will help with the bloating, the gas, the digestive issues, the brain fog, all of those things. It's what we've been using in our practice now for at least 5 years, and I'm happy to be able to bring that online to everyone. So we're offering a free bottle of that, literally a free bottle at equilibriumnutrition.com with any purchase, I believe, over $99. While supplies last, we should have it for all of next week. We'll see, but I just wanted to send that out to you. All right, now I want to move on, and I really want to share with you 2 podcast interviews I did. One with Ben Pakulski, an amazing guy. I had him on my podcast not too long ago, known as the Bodybuilding Yogi. Well, he had me on his podcast, the Muscle Intelligence Podcast. I'm going to make it easy for you. If you go to stevencabral.com/980, I'm going to download those podcasts and put them right on this page. So you'll see today's podcast, episode 980, stevencabral.com/980. And I'm going to download Ben's, and I'm also going to download the next interview I'm about to talk to you about in a moment. So you'll be able to listen to them all on one page to make it easy for you. A lot of people from the community have asked to please share the shows that I've been interviewed on as well. And the reason is that they're longer format. And that makes a huge difference. You know, I love doing the 25 minutes or so shows for you because I can go on one topic, except for the Friday reviews, and I can just go and I can go deep on that one topic and really teach on that. And I really enjoy doing that. But when I'm on an hour and a half show or a 2-hour show, we cover so many topics and from different angles, and it's very conversational. It's honestly a lot of fun. I enjoy, honestly, all of the interviews that I do, and I think it's amazing for me to be able to reach out and just chat with other people. And they're all great people. I mean, they really are. Ben Pakulski has such an amazing background with bodybuilding and being a former Mr. Olympia competitor. Well, he challenged me. He challenged me with questions on keto and how much protein to eat. And it was a great interview because essentially what I was trying to get across to to him and his audience, which he understands. He's very, very intelligent, very, very smart. I mean, his level of nutrition knowledge and exercise is just next level. It's fantastic. But what I was sharing, and you can get really in depth in this, is that a lot of things that we do to transform our body are not the best for our health. And so I just shared those things, and they don't have to be the most popular answer. But what I'm trying to get people to do and understand is that things we do sometimes to make ourselves, quote unquote, look better, transform our bodies, are not the best things to do for a lifetime of good health. So check out that podcast for that. And then I did another interview that just released on MindPump, another great podcast, and what I would love, 3 amazing guys, Adam, Justin, and Sal. And I sat down with them. We talked for 2 hours. Honestly, we could have talked easily for another 2 hours. So we talked about everything, artificial sweeteners. We talked about low testosterone. We talked about CrossFit workouts. We talked about paleo. We talked about keto. We talked about food combining, all of these things. We talked about toxicity. It was a great, great show. It really spanned a wide variety of topics. And right now, it's one of the most popular podcasts right now out there, that interview. So I'm going to let you just listen to it right on that page. And again, obviously, these are all completely free, able for you to listen to at stephencabral.com/980. And I'll put those MP3s right in there. You just click the play button, and away you go. So really a lot of fun. I do plan on doing additional interviews. I'm going to kind of slow it down for the rest of the year. And the reason is that I want to keep creating my curriculum now for Level 2, the Level 2 IHP certification that will be coming out in early 2019. So my job is to really get that coursework ready. So I'm focusing a lot of my attention on that. And we have so many amazing things planned for the new year as well. We've got a much greater team and really impressive people on my team that's going to be able to help get this information out to more people. So my job is really to talk. My job is to research, to learn, to teach, and then I have an amazing team that really makes all of this happen. Anything, show notes pages and those types of things, I write the information, but then they get it out there. So I really have a great team with everyone at cabralsupportgroup.com, the Facebook group team, with everyone. If you have an email question that he answers email, it's turning into a major operation, and I'm lucky to have the team that I have. They're amazing. Not only are they amazing at what they do, they're amazing people, which I'm lucky and fortunate enough to work with. So really excited about that. And again, those interviews are right there for your review. Okay, the first piece of research that I want to bring you is, this is something that I've been talking quite a bit about, is that your workouts do not need to be bone crushing in order for you to get really a lot of benefit. And the benefit is showing that it's going well beyond just transforming your body. Listen to this brand new research, September 2018, brand new, called Rapid Stimulation. Okay, let me look at this for the journal reference. From the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, 2018. I'm going to link up the research right here. It's called Even Mild Physical Activity Immediately Improves Memory Function. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this at the show notes today as well. Just go to stephencabral.com/980. For those people that like to dive into the research, you'll be able to go deeper into it. Okay, here's the summary. Researchers found that even very light workouts can increase the connectivity between parts of the brain responsible for memory formation and storage. So here's what they're looking at. They're looking at when we're doing mild workouts. What does that mean? Well, it means a single, as in one, 10-minute period of mild exertion can improve cognitive benefit. Not only did they say cognitive benefit, which means improved memory, improved brain function, improved recall, but what they're looking at is that it said considerable. That makes a bigger difference, meaning it's there's actual statistical improvement. And there's not just a little bit. So they used MRIs, and what they looked at was the actual lighting up of the brain, and they found better connectivity between the hippocampus and other parts of the cerebral cortex that details how memories are processed. So they're looking into right now, are we creating new brain cells? Well, maybe in the long run from exercise. But what can also be happening is that the act of exercise is improving cognition through potentially neural stimulation. So what we're doing is we're moving the body. Now, there could be something as well, is when we move the body and it's mild, we're decreasing stress output, which could be helpful, and we're calming the nervous system. But either way, we're doing some type of neurological-based work, which is affecting our brain. And I just want to make a note of this, and again, I'll let you read the research in depth if you're interested, is that we're saying even 10-minute brisk walks. It has to be an exertion. It can't be just a regular walk, or a decent yoga session, or even some jumping jacks or things like that. We're looking at mild exertion, 10 minutes, and we saw a significant and considerable cognitive improvement. So how great is that? By doing 10 minutes, like the 10-minute morning routine I talk about every morning. That could be one of the greater reasons, right? Because I'm getting better oxygenation in my body. One of the reasons why I feel so good just doing 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so in the morning of just moving my body. I'm not doing a hard workout. I'm not doing it to failure. I'm doing some push-ups and some squats and some lunges and some chin-ups and some boat pose, and their body weight. And I'm not sweating, and I'm not taking it to exertion. So, I think that's really, really important to look at, is that we just have to get our bodies moving. We don't even need to buy a gym membership, but we need to get our body moving 10 minutes a day. It didn't even say every day, but most days per week. Honestly, you can do that. 10 minutes a day, move that body. You will see huge, huge benefits from that. All right, the second piece of research I want to bring you before we get to our super nutrient of the week. I'll be back next week with product reviews and more. I have so much stuff that I'm actually working on right now, but I like to really use it for a while before I can give you a good recommendation. So the second piece of research that I wanted to bring you was this is something that my wife and I do with our daughters, and I use it myself during my lunchtime walk and sometimes before bed. Not as much before bed for me, but it's for our girls, and I use it during my lunchtime walk. What is it? Well, it's listening to yoga music at bedtime is good for the heart. Now, it's interesting that they say heart. I don't love the wording of this study. This is done by the European Society of Cardiology. This was in August 2018. Again, I'll link up the research for you. You're welcome to go more in depth if you want. So here's what we were looking at, is that they were looking at heart rate variability. I've spoken about this before, and I'm going to be talking about this more in the future. Understanding your heart rate variability is absolutely amazing. Okay, so the lower your heart rate variability, the greater the chance, up 32 to 45% higher risk for a cardiovascular event. That basically means a heart attack, okay? So the lower your heart rate variability, the higher your chance for a heart attack. Almost 50%, right? At least a third, up to almost 50%. Pretty amazing. And following a heart attack, those people with, again, lower heart rate variability had an increased rate for a cardiovascular event or death, meaning a much higher ratio. Why? Well, if you have a lower heart rate variability, it essentially means more stress on the body. That more stress on the body is affecting the nervous system. And they're saying that nervous system-based stimulation can trigger inflammation, which is also linked to cardiovascular disease. Now, it's amazing because this is the thing that I've been talking about, the nervous system, for so many years, and finally we're talking about it now in conventional medicine. It's about neurological input. It's about stimulating the autonomic nervous system. And believe it or not, in this article, they actually use the term fight or flight and rest and digest. So we know it's becoming mainstream. Now, it always happens in Europe way before the United States because Europe is simply more progressive when it comes to natural health. And the reason they're more progressive when it comes to natural health is because they oftentimes subsidize health care and health insurance, which means they have a vested interest in keeping people healthy because it keeps more money in the government's pocket rather than them paying out. If the United States did that, if they took a vested interest in keeping people healthy, we actually might see more alternative, and I use that in air quotes, methodologies being paid for. Because in the long run, it costs you less money. Remember, as I love that saying, I didn't make this up, but you either pay now for all the healthy things that you do, or you pay later. But no matter what, everybody's going to pay. You're going to pay for the good food. You're going to pay for the gym membership maybe. You're going to pay for the nutritional supplements. You're going to pay for the massage or acupuncture or personal trainer. You're going to pay, right? Or you're going to pay in the medications and disease later in life. We all pay. And it's one of those things that we just have to decide who we're going to pay, what we want to do, right? If there's not enough time now, well, then we pay later. We either make the time now, we pay for that time now, or we do it now. And I know that's a little bit of a rant, but I honestly believe that. And again, you do what you feel is right for you, but I just want everyone to understand we need good input in order to get good output. So this was a great, great study, and essentially what they showed, this is a remarkable study. No music, yoga music, or complete silence. And they found that anxiety levels fell significantly after the yoga music. They rose after the pop music, because they use regular pop music. And they increased after the no music session. Pretty remarkable that only anxiety fell and stayed lower after the yoga base. Why? Because we're talking about what I recommended previously, which is binaural beats and entrainment of brainwaves. And a lowering, or I should say an increase in heart rate variability, which shows a lowering of stress. And I know that's very confusing. It really is why they wrote it like that. But that's the truth. When you can entrain brainwaves, which we've known for many, many years with Tibetan singing bowls, that we've done with chanting, that Native American cultures, that Ayurvedic, that all of the, this is real. Like, this has always been going on. And as you entrain brainwaves, you lower heart rate, you dilate, you relax, and you move into the parasympathetic nervous system. So I just thought this was absolutely remarkable research. I mean, I've recommended binaural beats before. I don't even care which type you use. Use a type that you enjoy listening to that relaxes you. For me, I go for a walk during lunch. I try to eat outside whenever possible. I put on my binaural beats. It's calming me down. I feel fantastic. When I go on an airplane and people are sneezing around me, they're coughing, they're yelling, kids are crying, all that, I put on my binaural beats and I'm in my own little world and it relaxes my nervous system. One of the best things you can do now, finally, right? These things are finally being proven by science. Please, though, if there's great Ayurvedic and great ancient-based traditions that have always been done, always been passed down, use them now. Use them now. Don't wait for them. If there's no harm to it, don't wait for science to catch up. Science will eventually catch up. But remember, don't always wait. The important thing is to start now. So love this research. Again, it's things that we do in my family. It's things that I do personally, and I hope that you use them in your life as well. All right, so let's get now into our super nutrient of the week. Okay, and this week's super nutrient of the week are none other than enzymes. Enzymes are something that are starting to become more familiar and more talked about in the overall natural health and I would say supplement field, but still not greatly understood, and that's because there's such a wide variety of enzymes. And to top it off, every living food contains their own natural enzymes at their raw-based state, so their uncooked state. So what happens is when we take a food, for example, it's apple season for the most part in the New England area, and when an apple gets ripe, it will fall from the tree, all right? It will eventually fall from the tree. When it hits the ground, it actually cracks some of the cells inside the apple itself, and the enzymes are released, which starts to break down and degrade the apple. It actually digests itself. So what we're looking at is, let's say that a human eats an apple. When we eat an apple, we chew it up, we break down those cellular walls of the plant, of the fruit itself, and those enzymes in our stomach, actually from the apple, will begin to break down the apple. Now, when a food is cooked above 118 degrees, it starts to kill the living enzymes in the food. If we freeze a food, it can kill the enzymes. When we heat a food, it can kill the enzymes. Enzymes are available in raw food, and that's why a lot of proponents of a raw diet can quote saying, well, there's only enzymes in living food. All of that's true. Do keep in mind, a raw food diet is not the best for everyone. To say one diet's the best for everyone is not, you're just simply not going to be right. And the reason is that a raw food diet or close to a raw food diet, let's say that you live near the equator, you have a healthy, strong metabolism, you're eating a lot more carbohydrates and raw-based fruits, and you don't have any blood sugar dysregularity, could be pretty healthy. You live in, let's just say, up in Boston in January, and you're eating a cold salad and raw foods, you're not going to feel that great. It's going to be really challenging to get through that winter with all that cold, raw food. But I'm not going to turn this into a raw food debate right now. There's a lot of benefits to eating a lot of raw food. But again, if you look at Ayurvedic medicine and you look at any type of the traditional medicines out there, besides conventional medicine, which is not nutrition-based, you look at them and you'll see that always the diets changed per season, and they always changed per climate as well. And we can see that in the north of India versus the south of India, the diets were actually quite different. I mean, you really saw that quite a bit. And I want to talk about that as well today. So one thing that we know is that humans do make some of their own enzymes as well, pancreatic-based enzymes. We also have something called salivary amylase. Amylase is where we're going to start with enzymes today. That's actually made in the mouth, and that's one of the first enzymes to be produced as a baby, basically. You're starting to produce amylase. It's actually different. I've looked into the research, and it can start somewhere between 12 and 24 months. It does seem to depend on the maturation of the child, but definitely around 18 months to 2 years old, the body will actually start to produce its own amylase. Now, what is amylase? So I want to make this easy because I want you to the whole goal of the super nutrient of the week each week is so that you understand what we're talking about. Usually we're talking about, for example, it might be magnesium, or it might be potassium, or it might be whatever it is, right? Any super nutrient that we're talking about. But today we're talking about a whole family of enzymes. Now, I want you to understand this because every food has a specific enzyme, and a lot of times these enzymes are breaking down proteins, or in the case of what we're talking about first, which is carbohydrates, all carbohydrates have a sugar, even broccoli, right? That's very, very low in sugar. Well, it will have some type of sugar, let's just say sucrose, right? It will end in ose, O-S-E. That will be the sugar. And then the ACE, ASE, will be the enzyme. And that might seem a little confusing. I'm going to make it easier right now. So let's go through it. So amylase is something that can break down starches. Starches in fruit, potatoes, vegetables, and a lot of grains will have a carbohydrate-based starch. And amylase, which we actually produce in the salivary glands in the mouth, will help already start breaking them down. What does that mean? Well, it means that we should chew our food really well and mix it with our saliva, but also that humans, and again, in kids as they start to get some of those molars in, you're able to break down these carbohydrates. And that's why for us to say like, oh, well, we really shouldn't be eating, any of these root vegetables or anything like that, is actually unfounded, because we do make the enzyme to break them down very, very simply. So other enzymes, lactase helps to break down lactose, and that's the sugar in milk or dairy in general. When we make something like kefir or yogurt, or you even make certain types of cheese, a lot of times we're actually removing a lot of the lactose. That's why they're easier to digest. Diastase, that's something that breaks down vegetable starch. Sucrase breaks down sugars and starches. Maltase breaks down certain disaccharides and monosaccharides and the same type of starch that's actually in beer or hops or anything like that. Invertase, it breaks down sucrose, which is just basically sugar. Glycoamylase, which breaks down all starches to sugar. And again, we need this. So people say, well, I don't want to break it down to a sugar. Every single carbohydrate you eat breaks down to simple sugars so that your body can use them. Just like every protein you eat breaks down to amino acids from larger amino acid strands. And all fats that you eat are going to break down to smaller fatty acids. This is really important because your body actually needs to break them down as small as possible to actually be usable. If not, it's going to cause digestive-based distress. Glucoamylase I just spoke about. Alpha, I can never pronounce the last part of this. Alpha galactosidase facilitates and breaks down beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, soy, any type of bean-based product. This is a really important one. So I want to go back to that. And of course, the really important one is the one that I cannot pronounce. Alpha galactosidase. And again, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but I'll link it up today as well. That's so important because there's a lot of people listening to this podcast right now, and they're on a vegan-based diet. Well, if you are getting a lot of gas and bloating and digestive issues, this is one of those enzymes that helps you to better break down those foods so that you can utilize the nutrients better. Like, that's the point of enzymes. They break down your food to a greater degree so that you can absorb more nutrients from it. So those are the ones that break down carbohydrates. The ones that break down protein, pepsin, pepsidase, trypsin, alpha-chymotrypsin, bromelain, papain. Okay, so these are really, really important. One I want to say is pepsin is something that we're going to produce in the gastric part of the stomach. About 30 minutes after a meal, the body starts to produce hydrochloride or hydrochloric acid. That actually creates a lower pH in the stomach that helps us to break down proteins. Really, really important that our stomach does that. But it also begins to create an enzyme called pepsin, and pepsin is also a hot enzyme that will help break down proteins. Now, bromelain is something that's derived from pineapple, and it's actually the core of the pineapple, the hard part in the middle. And papain we get from papaya, raw papaya. And actually, I spoke about this just 2 days ago on my foods that help to kill parasites. So I do hope you checked out that show. Really, really fun show on all the different herbs. And it's in the seeds of the papaya as well. The seeds and a little bit in the flesh of the fruit. So things that break down fats would be lipase. Anytime you see lipase, that will help to break down all fats of all types. Cellulase will help to break down the cellulose structure. In plants, this is important because let's say you're someone that's eating a lot of great cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower. Let's say you're eating kale or Brussels sprouts. Cellulase is really important to help break down all of that cellulose. Remember, that's the sugar, the cellulose, but it's also the cellulose structure of the plant. What else? I named it betaine HCl, and xylanase is one that I did not name, but I think this is really important for you to see as well. Xylanase helps break down a lot of those fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharide-based foods that can lead to more of the fermentation in the gut. Not a lot of enzyme formulas contain that, but it is one that I do want you to look for. Xylanase is one of those ones that will help you if you really have an issue with a lot of those cruciferous vegetables, or you get bloating with a lot of fruit or starches. So that's a great one to look at and to go for. And I would just say, I've mentioned this on a previous podcast. You can absolutely look it up, but you can just go to stephencabral.com/podcast and type in digestive bitter. And the bitters are things like the gentian. And again, I hardly ever pronounce that right as well. But that's a really nice one that's been used for thousands of years to help with digestion. Another great one that I always speak about is ginger, right? Ginger is such a great spice that helps with heat in the stomach. Now, it's not, and I want to be clear on this, it's not an enzyme that's going to help bring this down, that's going to break the food down, but it does allow for more heat in the stomach, which helps break down foods to a greater degree, especially protein-based foods. So, I know the one easy way to get all of these enzymes is, of course, an enzyme-based formula that you would simply take. I don't have people use them with their shakes or smoothies. Some people do, but I would look at it like this. You've already blended up all that food. You've broken down the cell structure of those foods, and you've already made it much easier for your stomach to digest. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate of that smoothie in the morning. But for lunch and for dinner, using 1 capsule or 2 capsules per meal, usually you take it 10 minutes before the meal. But honestly, for my private wellness clients, I just have everyone take all their supplements after their first few bites of food with the meal. And the reason is that it just makes it easier, and you're still going to have the enzymes mixing with the food. It's not like the food's going to leave your stomach in 20 minutes. It's going to be there for a couple hours. So that's what we do. It makes it a lot easier, but I just wanted you to be aware of this. All other cultures, a lot of people say like, oh, well, I don't want to use nutritional supplements and this and that's okay. Like, I understand that, but do understand that in all true native-based cultures, they always use digestive enzymes and bitters. And when I look back to my, European roots in Portugal and Italy and kind of all over the world, is that they used actually digestive bitter-based drinks. They used acidic-based foods. When I was over in Europe, there was a lot of curries and spices that were used for digestive purposes. When I was over in Asia, there was wasabi, or there was fermented-based foods with a meal that are very low and acidic. People don't really know that. A lot of fermented foods are very, very acidic as well. Well, that helps with the digestion in the stomach. So we've known this for many thousands of years, that if you can give your digestive system some help, then you not only expend less energy in digestion, which means you get to keep more of your own energy, which means there's less brain fog and less bloating after meals. But the other thing that you're doing is you're then allowing your hard-earned money that you're spending on good food to actually, you're absorbing more. So that's the whole point of it, is like, we look at value. It's like, okay, well, you're eating good food. Let's just help you make sure that you extract as much from it. So whether you're choosing to do a ginger tea, whether you're choosing to do digestive bitters, or, if you're someone that says, okay, I just want to ramp up my digestion, especially with heavy meals, I just recommend, and I do recommend, a digestive enzyme. They work so great. I will link up the one that we recommend that has literally everything that you just heard today. A lot of them aren't huge formulas. This is a big formula that contains everything, even the bromelain and the papain, and it contains the xylanase, and it contains that one that I can't pronounce, alpha-galactosidase. And overall, great formula, just called the Daily Digestive Enzyme. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And the other one that I just wanted to mention is our one that we're giving away free, at least for the next week, if you're listening to Cabral Concepts the same day it comes out. And this is one with the alpha-galactosidase, and it contains the xylanase for all of the beans-based digestion, and it contains a higher level of lactase as well as DPP4, which is really important that I didn't mention, that helps to break down gluten. So that's the great thing, is that we have these specialty formulas. We see them work so great in the real world, as well as obviously backed up by science. And that one is called the Gluten and Dairy Support. We've been using it in my private practice now for 5 years. Really amazing formula that I take and that I actually keep out, especially for cheat meals, 2 to 3 capsules at a cheat meal or flex meal, whatever you'd like to call it. And if it contains dairy and gluten, or you just get a lot of bloating from beans, or you want to break down beans to a greater level, that this product actually helps a lot with that. Maybe in the future we'll rename it gluten, dairy, and bean support, but really it's great for all three of those. They're at a higher dosage. What's the difference between this one and the Daily Digestive Enzyme? The Daily Digestive Enzyme is a full formula, full spectrum formula of all of the different enzymes. This one has many different enzymes, but it's really meant for all the foods that you might be having during a cheat meal that might not be the healthiest foods. such as bread and pasta and cheese and whatever else, cream sauce and etc., right? Or dessert. It's perfect for dessert. So that's what we use it for, and that it's worked, again, really, really well. I use it myself as well, so I wanted to pass it on to you, and just for a limited time, we're giving those bottles away free with qualifying purchases at equilibriumnutrition.com. Hopefully this was helpful today, all the different enzymes, what they do, how they're broken down in categories, and how people have been using them essentially in different ways for thousands of years. What's the difference with this? We just put them in a capsule. Like, that's the difference. Honestly, people have been using the same herbs, the same things for thousands of years. Now we're just encapsulating them because our Western-based taste buds don't really always like the flavors, but we need to get them into our stomach. So again, hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please feel free, as always, to share it with anyone you believe it may serve. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for our weekend Cabral House Calls. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing weekend. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.